Hey YouTube, how are you guys doing? My name is Kyle, you know me as Dragonmar, and welcome to a new video. Today we'll be continuing the 5-minute tip series with a video about stalling. This video will have everything you need to know about how to stall points for long enough to turn team fights in your favor. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support on the last video, as well as to remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoy it and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And also, I just created a Discord for this community. If you're interested in getting a VOD reviewed by me, I highly recommend stopping by in the link down below. With that being said, let's get right into it. To start things off, I'm going to go over what stalling is and why it's important. So stalling is essentially the act of actively stopping the control and further progress of a capture point or the movement of a payload. And stalls occur when a team is able to stop progress on a point by having their own presence on the point. So why is it important? Well, stalling is extremely important because of how fast-paced Overwatch can be and how important every second of the game is. Stalling effectively can take up to 30 seconds off the clock of the enemy team, even when a team fight is lost initially. And by the way, most of the times you're going to see stalls come out are when team fights end up being lost. Now, there are also a few occasions where stalling on certain maps like Hanamura and Volskaya can completely change the tide of the fight and result in a hold. And the main thing you're probably thinking is, well, how? And the most important part of stalling is, of course, allowing your team to regroup and to get numbers behind a push back onto point. One of the biggest problems when it comes to stalling is trickling in, and I'll go over that in the tips right now. Let's start the tips off with the best stall hero in the game, and that is of course going to be Mei. So Mei's kit allows her to fully protect herself twice, once by using her wall and then once by using ice block. There's really no other character in the game that can do something like this. So if you are looking for a good hero to stall points with, I'd always suggest Mei if no one on your team has already chosen her. Now tip number 2 plays off tip number 1 in that it is the specific tips for actually using Mei. Really, all you're going to do is look for the closest corner on the point that you can, and you're going to want to place a wall in that corner, allowing you to sit there without wasting your ice block. Once your wall runs out, simply use your ice block and wait again. If the enemy team begins to pressure you, look to use your ice wall underneath you to boost yourself up in the air, look for some freezes, and if you're still alive, you can repeat the process as many times as possible. One of the keys though with Mei is that you do have the potential to actually get some good freezes and get some kills on some squishy enemies, so I'd always look for that as well. Now tip number 3 is about choosing speed or survivability depending on the situation. Remember, you're going to have to choose the right hero for the stall, and sometimes it's not the same one. So if you are looking for speed, I do have some heroes for you. First, if you're playing a DPS, I would always suggest Tracer. Sometimes you need to get back to point quick, the best solution is going to be Tracer, and also with her recall, she has some really nice survivability on point. Following that up, of course, I'm going to have to go with Lucio for supports. Simply being able to skate around the top of the capture points is really nice for survivability, and at lower ranks, people have a really hard time hitting you. Finally, with the introduction of Wrecking Ball, tanks now have an excellent stall hero, and he should always be used when needed. Tip number 4 is going to be an example of a stall comp, but please remember that stall comps are going to be situational. This is just one that I tend to like. So first, we're going to start with the DPS. We have Mei and Reaper. The reason is that Mei is going to give you really nice C as well as really nice survivability on the point, and Reaper is just going to be dealing out a ton of damage and can break through some of these tanks and shields. With your supports are going to be looking at Lucio, just unbelievable survivability, as well as Mercy, who's going to give you some nice healing output, as well as the potential for her ultimate, Valkyrie, to really come in huge here, allowing her to fly around the map and stay somewhat invincible against the targets on the ground. Your tanks, definitely a Wrecking Ball, really good CC, a lot of crowd control there, and also just a lot of area denial, especially with his ultimate. And also, I'm going to say a Roadhog. I love his hook for stalling. I love being able to get picks. I'm really aggressive, and I think this comp has a little bit of everything. Alright guys, we're going to be looking here at some live gameplay, a good example of a very nice hold by the enemy team. This hold takes place over about a minute of time, so pay really close attention to who's dying, who's alive, and where we're positioned. So starting things off, a really nice ice block by that Mei to stay alive a little bit longer, although she ends up walking back onto point here, as you're going to see, and dies. Not necessarily the best decision. However, great shield placement here by the enemy Orisa. This is a really good spot to put your shield, except if someone like me goes in there to the corner and blocks you off, you can't really get back in. Now right here, things are looking really good. We're up a ton of people. I don't really like that shield placement by me, not somewhere I want to go normally, and I also would have loved to have seen that Tracer die immediately. I go for a really, I don't know, interesting push pull there can't make it. Zen comes in with Trance, huge stall ultimate, right? Right there, Mei walls herself into the corner, no pressure on her. Now she's going to ice block. Really good play. Guess what? The whole enemy team is back now. They've been able to stall correctly. They have the numbers, they have the people, and Mei's still alive, and they're able to take the point. Now, tip number 5 is when to stay on non-stall heroes. I'd say there's about 4 really good reasons where you're going to want to stick on whatever hero you're currently playing. That's if you are close to a good ultimate. I'd always advise you to build that ultimate up a little bit more if possible, and then use it on the point. Also, if the enemy team has a sniper, sometimes the only way you can actually kill the enemy sniper is with your own. Also, if you're on a DPS and the other team has no shields and no snipers, guess what? That's a good opportunity for you to be able to just come from the side and start picking people off with no pressure. And then finally, if you have no experience on any kind of stall hero, sometimes it's not a good idea to just waddle yourself onto point and get mowed down if you're not even comfortable playing that hero. So tip number 6 is the touch and go strategy here on point. And it's a way to allow your team to regroup by sacrificing yourself. The whole premise here is do not sit on the point if you do not have to, because the other team is going to blow you up. So remember, part of stalling is allowing your team to regroup and come in as a big unit. So your job in these situations is to keep the clock going, to make sure they can't cap, and to waste as much time as possible on your own. If you're standing in front of them, face tanking them, you're going to die way quicker than just touching the point, running off, and then touching one more time. Tip number 7 is about entering from different angles onto the point. If everyone runs in a straight line from the same angle, generally the enemy sniper is going to have a field day with you guys. Now sometimes it's really important to come from 2 angles. This is going to split up the focus on the enemy team, especially if there's a Mei wall blocking you from getting on point. Sometimes this is a key to being able to touch the point again. Guys, if there is one takeaway you get from this video, it's to please remember that the only way to actually stall and win is by getting kills. Yes, survivability is important, and yes, sometimes all you want to do is take time off the clock, but in a lot of cases, you can actually win these fights if you're able to first stay alive and then look for kills. Also remember, you need numbers. You're not going to be able to do this solo. That's where the survivability part comes in. Then look to work with your team to start picking off some of the low health enemies. And with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. If you did, remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy and peace.